The Time Machine, Chapter 2. My friends gathered around the machine in my workshop. It was exactly like the model I had shown them, only it was 20 times larger. You mean you sit in that chair, pull that lever, and travel into the future? The writer asked. Or into the past, I said, whichever I choose. And which would you choose? The psychologist asked. The future first, I said. It is the unknown that interests me most. And do we get to see it in action? The politician asked. Perhaps take a ride ourselves, the doctor suggested. Not yet, I answered. I still have a few things to tinker with. Then it will be ready to go. My friend smiled. You still don't believe me, I said. I pretended to be angry. Very well then, come to dinner here in a week from now. I promise to show you then that my time machine works. After my friends left, it was my turn to smile. My friends had been right about one thing. I did like jokes. I had told them I still had to tinker with my machine, but there was one thing I had not told them. The tinkering would take only a few hours. Then my time machine would be ready. Before I started to work, I called in my housekeeper. I told her to cook dinner for my friends next week, the best dinner she could make, and I handed her a note. She was to give it to them when they arrived. The note said I was sorry not to greet them, but it promised I would join them before the evening ended. Then I set to work. The work was very delicate. I had to make sure the size of the levers was just right, to the smallest fraction of an inch. One lever was to start the machine traveling through time. Push it up, and it went into the past. Pull it down, and it went into the future. The other lever was to stop it wherever I wanted. But I should not say wherever, rather whenever, because I would be staying in the same spot. Only the time would change. It was almost 4 in the morning. I had finished my work. I measured the levers one last time. Now only one thing was left to do, to give the time machine its first test. I sat down in the seat of the time machine. I looked at my pocket watch, 19 after 4. I held my breath as I gripped the lever. I pulled it down a tiny bit. How can I say what it felt like? Only that it felt like falling through endless space. My stomach was trying to squeeze into my throat. My mouth was open. It looked like the mouth of a fish gasping in air. Quickly, I pulled the stop lever. There was a slight bump. The machine stopped. I looked around me. My heart sank. My tools were where I had laid them. My coat still hung over a chair. My workshop was just as I had left it. My machine was a failure. Then I saw daylight in the window. My heart beat faster. I looked at a clock on the mantel. It said 9:30. I pulled out my pocket watch. It read 21 minutes after 4. I had traveled more than 5 hours in just 2 minutes. The time machine worked. I suppose I should have stopped then. I should have planned my next move, but I had waited too long for this moment. I could not wait any longer to journey through time. I pulled down the lever again. This time I pulled it a bit harder and farther. Time outside the machine speeded up. I saw my housekeeper whiz into the room. She cleaned it in record time. She shot out the door. It was clear she could not see me. I pulled the lever farther down. The window grew dark. Then it brightened. Then it darkened again. Days went by like blinking lights. I pulled down on the lever still more. Daylight and darkness became a blur. The windows and walls of my workshop vanished. The machine was swaying now. My mind was swaying too, as if it were drunk. It was drunk, drunk with power. I wanted to pull the lever all the way down. I did. Around me was a world of wonders, huge buildings rising taller and taller, skies changing from dark gray to bright blue, a countryside that grew greener and greener. What a fantastic show! It was hard to turn my eyes away, but at last I did. I looked at the dials. They told me how fast and how far I was traveling. I was shocked. I had gone much faster and farther than I thought. I was in the year 802,701 A.D. Think, 802,701 A.D. Those huge numbers made me lose my head. I was in a panic. I yanked hard on the stop lever. I paid the price. The stop was too sharp. The machine tipped over. I was thrown from my seat. Stunned, I lay on soft green grass. I heard a very loud thunderclap. A shower of hailstones stung my face. It was impossible to see. A fine welcome, I muttered. A man travels over 800,000 years for a visit, and this is the greeting he gets? Then the hail thinned. The sun shone through a break in the clouds, and I got my first good look at the world of the future.